Good morning. It's nice to see everyone. I hereby call to order the Board of Klamath County Commissioners at our Tuesday business meeting. It is July 20th, 2021. Commissioner Donnie Boyd is here today, as well as Commissioner Derek DeGroot and myself, Commissioner Kelly Minty Morris. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Welcome back, Sandy. Any changes to the agenda?
Yes, we have 10.1 that's been added, a proclamation.
Okay, great. All right. We will go ahead and go through the agenda as it's presented. We do need to review meeting minutes from last week. I think you were here. Oh, great. We have a few items that fall under prior approved. I will go ahead and just read those in for the record, just to try to do it in a timely fashion. Item 6.1, this is a prior approved matter of a resolution declaring a state of emergency within Klamath County. Local and regional fire resources have been exhausted as conditions for a fast-moving fire, the Boot Lake wildfire, have been prevalent for several days. The area affected has not had measurable rainfall for over 100 days, contributing to a dangerous fire situation. Additional resources, including fire crews, fire equipment, and fire engines, are urgently needed to assist the area in the preservation of life, property, and rich tribal history. This motion was made and passed in the July 9th, 2021 BOCC emergency meeting. Next item is item 6.2. This was signed in the July 7th, 2021 work session meeting. This was the order for the findings of the livestock case Abishire versus Robinson and Ramirez. The matter came before the BOCC in a public hearing on July 7, 2021 on the complaint to the Animal Control Department that dogs owned by Thurman Lester Robinson and Jaziel Ramirez were in violation of ORS Chapter 609. Commissioners found the dog owner in violation of ORS Chapter 609, assessed penalties and fines, and instructed staff to create an order. The revenue is $1,529 and $364 expenditure to the Animal Control Fund. Next item is similar. This is item 6.3. This is the order of the findings of livestock case Holder versus Sandling. This matter came before the BOCC in a public hearing also on July 7, 2021 on the complaint to Animal Control that a dog owned by Bethany Sandling was in violation of ORS Chapter 609. Commissioners found the owner in violation of ORS Chapter 609, assessed penalties and fines, and instructed staff to create the order. The fiscal impact is an $810 revenue to the Animal Control Fund. Again, that motion was made and the order was signed July 7th, 2021 in a work session meeting. Fiscal impact $810. Item 6.4, this was the matter of the livestock case Ridenauer versus King. This matter also came before the BOCC in a public hearing on July 7, 2021 on the complaint to Animal Control that a dog owned by Joseph King was in violation of ORS Chapter 609. Commissioners found the dog owner in violation of ORS Chapter 609, assessed penalties and fines, and instructed staff to create an order. This was a fiscal impact of a $975 revenue and $300 expenditure to Animal Control. The motion was made to write and sign the order in that July 7th, 2021 work session meeting. Fiscal impact $975 revenue, $300 expenditure to Animal Control. All right, and finally, and prior approved, we'll move to 6.5, Community Development Solid Waste.
So this was approved, it looks like May 16th. Oh, no, excuse me. This is from Community Development. This is in the matter of approving a contract with BOCC Construction for the emergency demolition of the Tingley Lane Transfer Station. On May 16th, a major fire occurred at the Klamath County Transfer Station located on Tingley Lane. On May 25th, the Board of Commissioners approved a resolution declaring an emergency exists at the Klamath County Transfer Station. A motion to award the bid for demolition of the transfer station was approved and authorized for the chair to sign in the amount of $285,000 $53 to BOCC Construction, an expenditure deductible of $50,000 from the Risk General Liability Fund. And this was approved June 8th in County Council.
Thank you. Item 6.6, this is the for some background and conclusions. When property has been subjected to tax foreclosure for non-payment of taxes and interest and not redeemed within the 2-year redemption period, the property is deeded to the county by the tax collector, and any property owned by county and not used for county purposes is offered to sale by the public or for the public. On August 27, 2020, the county held a public sale, and after the county treasurer deducted the county's expenses and costs from the sale, there remains a sum of $539,710 to be distributed as required by ORS 311.390 and in accordance with ORS 275.275 on or before June 30, 2021. The fiscal impact is a $539,710 expenditure from County Property Sales Trust Agency Fund. This is noted for the record. The order for the county treasurer to distribute the $539,710 as required by ORS 311.390 in accordance with ORS 275.275 on or before June 30, 2021 was approved and signed in the finance meeting 6/29/2021. We'll move on in our agenda to the section of bids, awards, and proposals. Our first one is public health, 7.1 and 7.2.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, is the first one the Patagonia Health
Yes.
quote? Okay. This is in the matter of approving public health to accept Patagonia Health's quote for our electronic health record system. We first began using the Patagonia Health record system in 2016. The agreement was signed in August of 2016 for a term of 5 years, and with the renewal approaching, we worked with Leslie and Contracts to determine that a new request for quotes would be needed for another 5-year contract term. So we did that. 2 quotes were received, one from Ehlers and Associates for a 5-year term for a cost of $114,270. Patagonia came back with a 5-year cost of $103,226. And this is our original, this is what we have right now, is the Patagonia Health. So we're seeking to accept the quote from Patagonia Health. The contract expense would be $103,226 for the 5-year contract term beginning in fiscal year 2022, ending in fiscal year 2026.
I move that we accept Patagonia Health quotes for electronic health records with a fiscal impact and contract expense of $103,178.30 from Subdepartment 4044 Clinic Nursing, authorizing department head to sign.
Second.
Ms. Little, our papers here and the written motion that the chair just read says it's $103,178.30. You said it was $103,226.
That's what mine says. What does yours say?
103,178 and 30 cents.
I mean, it's not that big a deal. It's $50, but
Oh,
we need to make sure it's right.
And I
Yes.
can probably clarify that for you. There was a change that Ms. Dale had asked us to swap the documents out. My guess is that it just did not get changed on the actual agenda page.
Okay. So your number is the correct number. So I'll.
Yeah, so it should be 103,226. Is the
So
correct-
I'll
yeah, thank you.
amend my motion to clarify that number as 103,226.30. Thank you.
And I'll second the amendment.
Any questions for public health?
No.
Any questions? All right. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. 7.2.
Okay, so this is in the matter of requesting the board approval for a sole source determination for Paul Williams for the development of and ongoing maintenance of a database and web application to assist with communicable disease response, specifically within our K-12 schools. So, as you're well aware, one of our core functions is to prevent and respond to outbreaks of any communicable disease within the schools. And during the pandemic, we found an opportunity for quality improvement and streamlining efficiency. And what was found through a relationship between us, Jackson County, Josephine County, and the Southern Oregon education district was that we found a person who can create this database which can expedite our communications and the tracking system within the schools. And so we looked into this, and then pursuant to the OAR 125-247-0275, number 7, public notice was provided and no protests or comments were received before the published deadline. We advertised in the Herald and News Classifieds on July 7th with a deadline of July 16th. No protests were received. So the contract expense for this would be $17,500, but then we would recoup 2/3 of that from Josephine and Jackson counties.
I move that we approve the sole source determination with Paul Williams for the development and ongoing maintenance of a database and web applications to support communicable disease prevention and response in K through 12 schools. No fiscal impact.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion.
Ms. Little, I'm looking at the documentation provided to us today. It says the advertisement was placed in the Clam Falls Herald News Classifieds Public Announcements section on 07/07/21 with a deadline of July 16th, 2015.
Oops, not
for
2015.
protests. So what did the newspaper say? Did it say 2015 or did it say July 16th, 2021?
21.
And we're sure of that.
I will need to double check on that.
I should be able to pull that.
Because if I'm sitting here reading the newspaper and the protest period happened 6 years ago, I'm thinking,
Right.
why am I even going to talk about this?
Right.
I should be able to get to that.
While Sandy's trying to pull that up, any other questions for public health or comments?
I don't have any, no.
And that's your last item, right?
That's my last one. Yeah.
Sorry, of course, as soon as you want things to work quick, they don't.
Or if we need to move on and come back, I can do that
I was
too.
gonna say, Jeremy, you just have the one item, right?
Yes.
Look at that
Might be
grin. He's like, that never happens to
Jennifer,
me.
we'll readdress you in just a minute. Okay, so I'm gonna hold on that motion for public health while we do this item with Public Works. 9.1.
9.1, good morning.
Good morning.
Public Works is pursuing the replacement of the Ivory Pine Sprague River Road Bridge, and it's been ongoing for about 1.5 years. The board's seen this quite a few times. The east side of the road is owned by the Hadleys, and we have a narrow right-of-way out there, and in order to facilitate construction, we would like to purchase a 10-foot strip by 700 feet long, and this is the agreement to do that. The reasoning that we need this is we have 48-inch by 48-inch concrete boxes that are spanning 115 feet. The existing timber bridge has 20-inch timber stringers, and so we're raising the top of the bridge approximately 2 feet. And when you do that, the road embankment approaching it gets wider and leaves the right-of-way. And it's far cheaper to purchase right-of-way than it is to build a retaining wall or extend the guardrail. So for the board's consideration, the agreement to purchase right-of-way from the Hadleys.
I'd like to make a motion, board, to approve and sign the right-of-way dedication of approximately 7,000 square feet of real property and authorized payment of $1,400 to Rodney and Leanna Hadley for the acquisition cost. Physical impact is $1,400 expenditure to the Public Works Federal Road Reserve Fund.
Second.
All right, we have a motion now. Any questions for Public Works? Comments or thoughts?
Just, Jeremy, maybe a quick update on how the fire will impact delivery of this project?
Sure. We're hoping to get this project replaced. Right now, loaded fire trucks or log trucks can't use this bridge, but we expect a environmental response, a logging response, a utility response, and so this is a rapid construction. If we start now, it'll finish in November, while some of those contracts are forthcoming for those logging and utility repairs and all of that. And so the benefit is that if we get this replaced by November, that folks aren't having to drive 12 miles out of direction on Campbell Road as a part of the relief and response. And so we're going for it, foot on the gas pedal, and get this, I guess, restriction out of the way on that corridor so that it will improve the response.
And I really appreciate, and I know the community does as well, there's going to be a lot of work to be done post-fire. Now, is the fire or fire activity going to impact the ability to deliver the project to the construction crews, you believe? Or
No,
we're going to be
yeah.
okay?
So we have a couple weeks here. This week the contractor's moving in, and next week, so the full road closure won't be until August 2nd. And primarily it would impact the personnel transports, not the loaded trucks and dozers and things. And the fire's moving, north and east, which Ivory Pine is becoming less and less important to the actual fire right now. But it will be important for logging and environmental and utility response.
Appreciate that. Been getting those questions from the public, so appreciate the explanation.
So Jeremy and I were concerned about the fire along with our emergency manager and Sheriff Kabert. And I don't remember if it was Thursday or Friday last week, but we all met up in Chiloquin with the incident commander. And the determination was that the fire has moved further south, further to the east, further to the north, and it would going to be more important to have a structurally sound bridge in the future after the forest happens. And Jeremy explained to us that if we waited, postponed it, that was the original thought, we would postpone the removal of the bridge. But because we can't, the bridge is load restricted, so we can't bring any log trucks or any things that might help salvage any logs or the equipment that might help do that over this load restricted bridge. The determination was that we were better off doing it now because of the fact that we're going to need that bridge in good shape. And so that was a discussion that was held, I don't know, must have been Friday. And the incident commander and the Oregon State Fire Marshal, along with our emergency manager and our sheriff, were on board with the decision.
Okay. So we have a motion on the table. Any other comments or thoughts before we vote? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Thanks, Jeremy.
And so the public health item, it sounded like it was noticed correctly. It was just had a typo on our sheet. So let's go back to that item. And we already had the motion on the table for the sole source determination with Paul Williams for the development and ongoing maintenance of a database and web application to support communicable disease prevention and response in K-12, no fiscal impact. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye, motion passes.
Thank you for getting that for me.
Sure, thanks for catching that.
Well, I'm sorry I'm a spell police most of the time. I'm not.
Okay, so why don't I'm going to bounce around a little to item 8.3 museum.
Morning. Our contract with MoDOT Contracting for our sidewalk project expired without the work being done. We've redone the contract in the same amount, basically just restarting the clock to give them time to do the project. So the amount of the contract is $140,033.44. That's unchanged from the previous contract. They reported they're ready to start work tomorrow if this gets approved today.
I move that the BOCC approve and sign the contract with MoDOT Contracting for Klamath County Museum Front Entrance Project. Klamath County Museum Foundation is covering at least $73,855 of the cost, so the fiscal impact is $66,178.44 from the museum budget.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have questions for the museum manager? Comments, thoughts? Anything? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Chair votes aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, Tom, you have a couple items.
Good morning.
Morning.
We're seeking approval to purchase a new hydraulic pulverizer utilizing the county's membership with Sourcewell. The fiscal impact $63,819.19. And this is an attachment that we use on our 330 John Deere excavator for crushing large items, concrete, root wads, that sort of thing.
I'll make a motion board approve and accept the quote and purchase one new 2021 hydraulic pulverizer and authorize the solid waste manager to sign all forms. Fiscal impact $63,819.19. Expenditure from the solid waste equipment reserve.
Second.
All right, we have an active motion now. Are there questions for Tom?
Just for the public's knowledge, in the past, solid waste has been bringing in rock crushers and things to get rid of this, to break this material to smaller items, to smaller pieces, so it's easier to maintain and use up at the landfill. And I think this is a very reasonable suggestion and answer to those problems, because in the long run, it will save solid waste considerable money that they don't have to bring in rock crushers. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
All right, hearing no other discussion or comments, I will call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. Next item. You have one more?
And the second purchase we're asking for is approval to purchase a new compact 4x4 four-door pickup. We went out for bid. We received one quote from Lithia Ford in the amount of $31,483.81. Fiscal impact is that $31,483.81. Expenditure from the solid waste equipment from reserve.
Make a motion we approve the solid waste division to accept the bid and purchase one new 2021 Ford Ranger 4x4 crew cab from Lithia of Klamath Falls and authorize solid waste manager to sign all forms. Fiscal impact is $31,483.81. Expenditure from the solid waste equipment reserve.
Second.
All right, we have an active motion now. Any questions for Tom on this item?
I got to tease you a little bit, Tom, because when I saw that you were buying a new pickup, I thought, this can't be Tom. I don't think the solid waste or Tom himself has been in a new vehicle forever. So
In 25 years, we've never bought a new one, but yeah.
that's what I'm trying to say. You must have changed your ideas a little bit.
All right, hearing no other comments, we can vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Have a good day.
You too.
Okay, Mr. Hartman, you get to round out the show. You've got lots of items. So we'll start with, I'll actually do 8 for later. Let's do 7.5 and 7.6.
So Klamath County issued RFP for a qualified experienced vendor to provide gender responsive and victim services to justice involved individuals on community supervision. Klamath Crisis Center was the only response, and Klamath County Community Corrections would like to accept their proposal.
I move that we authorize Klamath County Community Corrections to accept the proposal for gender responsive and victim services from Klamath Crisis Center, no fiscal impact.
Second.
Right, we have a motion now. Any questions for the director?
I don't have any.
Anything? Okay, I am not hearing any, so let's vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. 7.6.
Klamath County issued a RFP for qualified experienced vendor to provide sex offender treatment services to justice involved individuals on community supervision. Klamath Basin Behavioral Health was the only response. Klamath County Community Corrections would like to accept that proposal.
I move that we authorize Klamath County Community Corrections to accept the proposal for sex offender treatment services from KBBH, no fiscal impact.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Questions on this item?
No.
Comments or thoughts? Anything, Dan?
No.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are you voting or are you
Aye.
abstaining?
No.
Okay, that's okay. Motion passes, or chair votes aye, motion passes. You threw me off. All right, now we'll move into agreements, 8.1.
Klamath County issued RFP for a qualified experienced vendor to provide sex offender treatment services to justice involved individuals on community supervision. Klamath Basin Behavioral Health responded, and Klamath County accepted that proposal. This contract outlines the services to be provided as in it and is in effect from the date of signing to June 30th, 2023, with the ability to extend for 2 one-year terms. Fiscal impact: an expenditure of $210,000 or $105,000 per fiscal year from the Community Corrections operating budget.
I move that we approve the contract between Community Corrections and KBBH to provide sex offender treatment services with a fiscal impact of an expenditure of $210,000, or in other words, $105,000 per fiscal year from the Community Corrections operating budget.
Second.
Great, we have an active motion now. Questions for the director on this item?
No.
Okay, not hearing any questions or comments, so I will call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. 8.2.
8.2, Justice Consortium has worked with Community Corrections to assess the level of evidence-based practices that currently operate within the department. After assessment, as appropriate, those areas where improvement is desired would be targeted as priorities to begin adjusting and refining practices. There are a number of overarching practices that have been identified as evidence-based that research has shown, when practiced with fidelity, an organization can improve the success rate of those under supervision. This amendment extends the original contract to June 30th, 2022. Fiscal impact, there's no additional fiscal impact, as this is the original $25,000. And I might just add that this was suspended during COVID. We went into this contract just right before the COVID shutdown. So this is just to allow us to actually continue the work that really never got started. So.
I move that we approve and allow the director to sign an amendment between Klamath County Community Corrections and Just Us Consulting Consortium to assess departmental evidence-based practices with a fiscal impact not to exceed the original $25,000.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion. Any questions for Director Hartman on this item?
Nope.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. And finally, we do have a proclamation, and stay up there for it in case anyone has comments. But we did want to proclaim the week of July 18 through 24 as Pretrial Probation and Parole Supervision Week. This week will commemorate the important work done by community corrections around the world to keep our community safe. Community corrections professionals are in a unique position to make a real difference in people's lives. This year, the theme is restoring trust, creating hope, working together for stronger bonds between colleagues, community partners, and those under supervision. There's no fiscal impact. This proclamation is here, done and dated for you to take. Anything you want to share with us, Director?
Just that, it's kind of, it's the, somewhat the reopening of a lot of these things went into suspension somewhat during COVID. And so we passed through last year without a real recognition of this week. And I think it's very important that we get back to, as COVID lessens itself or the impacts in this community, I think we need to get back to that place where we are, holding people accountable for their actions within this community. And not that we did not do that during COVID, it was just different. And as we get back to more of the face-to-face, in-person, kind of real people-centered work, I believe that recognizing this week, as we have done in years past, is super important, not only to my staff, but also to the community as a whole. And then as we kind of look to the future, we're doing some pretty innovative things here in this community. And I was in a conversation with KBBH, and we were talking about just our relationship over the last probably decade, and where we now, as we look at contract negotiations for different services that they help us provide, realizing that we are kind of looked to through, not only throughout the region, but throughout a good section of the state as kind of a pioneer and forefront leader when it comes to certain services. And although the word progressive has really some kind of detrimental impacts, but I think in this way it is progressive, and we're looking at how, I don't know that maybe we'll never figure out human behavior as a whole, but it doesn't mean we should stop looking. And I think that's where us with our community partners are really, we're in a unique position to target some of the behaviors in this community that just, based on our values and belief systems, aren't acceptable. And so as we go forward, not only with community supervision as a whole, but as we look at the impacts of justice reinvestment, I think we're doing an excellent job, and I'm very proud to be where I am as a director for that department.
Anything from the board?
Just thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah, I would echo that sentiment. You guys do some incredible work up there. Yeah, appreciate all you do for the community.
Yeah. And when you find out why people behave as they do let me know. Share. Do share. I've got lots of questions.
That was the.
But yeah, interestingly, I've been 25 years at looking at from a professional level of human behavior, and it never ceases to amaze me that some things just never seem to go away, as many as the big impacts as we think we make. And but there again, it is human behavior, and I don't. You look historically, from probably the beginning of time, people have been trying to figure this out, and I think in some ways we're making some big strides, but we do have a long way to go. And but as we look at, I think more and more as we tend to look at the science of it, and we hope to try and figure out why it is that certain behaviors just, for whatever reason, seem to be stuck within the human psyche. I don't know what that is, but we do. I think we are fortunate to have within this community a good support system for the work that we do, and it's. If by some weird chance before my time and this work is done and we stumble onto the magic fix for all this, that'd be a heck of a thing. But it's there's some innovative work out there, and it'll be interesting to see, because I think a lot of times we repeat it. We think it's new and innovative, and maybe a little bit, but I think we are still looking for that one thing that somebody hasn't tried that might just make a difference. And really, I've become a firm believer, and it's only one. If we can move one person away from that lifestyle or those types of behaviors, the impacts that will have decades from now are just, they're almost unforeseen. It's hard to tell, because one person has such a significant impact on all those around them. And so if we can change just that one, if we can keep one kid from entering our system, or we can make it so most of the people that come to see us never come back, I think that's a substantial win. And when you look at our current recidivism rates, we're hovering around 11%. That's impactful when you look at it. Wasn't all that long ago that things were in the 30 percentile. So we are making an impact. It's just, I don't think we've really figured out the difficult ones, and that's the ones that cause the most harm. And but we're also in a new adventure when you look at decriminalizing most user quantities of drugs in Oregon. And so what that means, I have no idea. But there is, within. I'm very thankful that the county is supportive of what we do. The work that we do has always been that way, and it allows us to try and experiment and see if we can move that needle just another percentage point. So,
well, you all do really good work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. All right, we just have one last item on our agenda. This is item 8.4. This is the matter of authorizing the chair to sign the Red Cross facility use agreement for Project Homefront. The bootleg fire that started on July 6, 21, approximately 11 miles northeast of Sprague River. The agreement provided Red Cross the opportunity to use the Project Homefront building located at 5225 Highway 97 North Klamath Falls as a shelter for it says disaster victims, but it was actually for Red Cross professionals. No fiscal impact. I move that we approve and authorize the chair to sign the facility use agreement for Project Homefront.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
So Chair, this is just for the hotel rooms,
Right.
not the RV park, nothing else, just the hotel rooms.
Right.
Okay.
I think, and there has been some talk about the RV spaces, but I don't think any action's been.
It'll be on the agenda at our admin meeting today. we can talk about it later. I have a little angst with how it all went down, but we can talk about that at one.
Anything else on this item?
No, glad it was available.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. And we have concluded our agenda, so we'll do commissioner reports.
I can get started. I've been working all pretty much ever since a week ago, well, 2 weeks ago tomorrow, helping with the Oregon State Fire Marshal's office, working with emergency managers, our sheriff's department, trying to help evacuees, make sure that our citizens in Klamath County are safe. I've been lately, the last 3 or 4 days, I've been working with our CERT team and men and women at the fairgrounds to try to find long-term housing or to help these people that have been evacuated from their homes because of the fire. Some people lost everything, some people did not. But, my heart goes out to them, and we're trying to figure out the best and the easiest way to move these people on to a new chapter of their life. Whether it's leaving Klamath County, which some of them have chosen to do, and we're helping them figure out how they can get up there, and other people are going back to what it was their life, and today they're going to have to start over up in areas that were devastated by fire. So pretty much the last 2 weeks, that's what I've been doing.
Great. And you wanted to share?
Sure, thanks, Chair. So folks may be aware that I was out of town for a week from Wednesday to last Wednesday, got back in town last Wednesday night. For those that don't know, I am sit on the board as second vice president of the Association of Oregon Counties. That's an association that represents all 36 counties in Oregon so that we can collaborate and work on different issues together that impact our communities. Through that work, the National Association of Counties was holding their annual meeting, and because of COVID, it was moved to Washington, D.C. Area, actually just outside in Maryland, and took that opportunity while I was there to talk about the issues that are plaguing the Klamath Basin, and really went on I would just call it an informational campaign. I don't know how many commissioners I spoke to from all across the country about our issues with water in the Klamath Basin. Of course, and I want to just regress back real quick and make a shout out. Every person that I spoke to, every room that I walked into, and there was a great deal of them, the first question that I was asked was how things were going with the fire. And to Brandon Fowler, our emergency manager, who kept me updated and educated as best one could be as I went into those rooms. Thank you very much. Just has been doing a great job keeping, I know, myself informed and probably the rest of the board on the ongoings of what's happening on the fire. Of course, Barry Imler, Forest Supervisor for the Fremont Wainema, constant communication with him as well. So thank you for all of that. And to all of the firefighters and those on the front lines, thank you for all of your work. This is an incredible fire. I saw this morning just 388,000 acres as of this morning, and I suspect we'll crest 400,000 acres probably by day's end is my guess, with really no end in sight as far as where these fire lines will stop. So everybody, please stay safe out there, and thank you for your work. But on my trip, it was extraordinarily busy. Drew's really talking about an issue that has plagued our community now for decades. And how do we, one, fulfill immediate needs to folks here on the ground that are really being impacted this year. This year, it is impacting our community in ways we've never seen. And I'm sure Commissioner Morris, you'll talk about your work with the state, but just been really impressed. So thank you very much for that work. It was a good trip. It was a really good trip. And I think everybody was familiar everywhere I went with the issues in the basin, but they really didn't understand it and really have a face to it. So we need to continue to tell our story and get the help that we need so that we can figure out some type of long-term solution for the basin. What we're doing right now just isn't working. So people have more questions about individual conversations I have had, happy to do those, but they've been many, and I'm happy to be home. It is hot there. So very happy to be home.
Great. Thanks. Yeah, great reports from both of you. I will share that I've been working, well, Commissioner Boyd was out on the fire and you were doing the education campaign. I've been working on potable water for folks whose wells are either failing or have gone dry or at risk of failing. I really want to give a shout out to Oregon Emergency Management and Oregon DHS and Oregon Water Resources for all stepping up. We've put together kind of a stakeholder group or a emergency response team that is working to provide both water storage tanks for folks who are impacted, whose wells are impacted, and additionally sort of a point of distribution where people can come fill individual, more like 1 and 5 gallon containers with water. There was a collective feeling that we just can't have our citizens not having drinking water and domestic water. So working through that, it appears that the truck that will do the point of distribution water or the place where you can go fill might be here as early as Thursday, and then in the first tranche or first batch of tanks available for folks are probably going to be here by Friday. The real message is everybody needs to report to the water master if they're experiencing this. The water master is the holding, if you will, the list of those impacted, so we can figure out where the tanks go and how they get there. And I think
Commissioner,
Sure.
if you don't mind me,
Sure.
I appreciate everything you've been doing with the water thing. It's extremely important that people have water for other reasons besides just drinking. They need to be able to bathe, they need to have sanitation, be able to flush the toilets, things like that. I would like to warn the citizens that the water may be potable when you get it, but it may not be potable after it's in your tank for a while. So please be extremely careful and try to protect yourself and your family, even though the county and the state and everybody has 100% intentions to help you with this and help you stay safe. You are going to need to monitor those tanks and make sure that they stay as clean as possible so that we can continue to have a healthy environment with that water.
Yeah, thank you for that. And there will be some guidance or recommendations provided related to sanitation, but the recommendation is still bottled water for drinking. But to your point about the other needs of showering and sanitation. So yeah, contact the water master if you're impacted or if you know someone who is, and we'll go from there. And with that, we will adjourn at 9:15.